Cavalry FC are moving on to the contender semifinal in the 2025 CPL playoffs after they dominantly, to be fair, beat York United 4-1 at Atco Field on Sunday afternoon. A lot of interesting things to talk about, especially in Cavalry's performance. Turns out no Sergio Camargo. They're still able to score a whole lot of goals and be very dangerous through the middle because apparently Toby Warshevsky is an incredible number 10 now. What a game this was as well on Sunday night. Mitchell, you were all over this one for CanBL.ca for us. Let's start with Cavalry, who we weren't sure about heading into this one. Obviously, we knew the injuries they had. Diego Gutierrez also not able to play. We didn't know if Warshevsky was going to be able to play because he was out of the lineup last weekend for the final game of the regular season. How did Cavalry get this done in such impressive fashion against York United? And how well does that bode for them going forward in the playoffs?
I think this match was entirely the recipe for success that has been there for Cavalry all season. For one, they get a tremendously early goal in the 8th minute. It's the 10th goal they've gotten inside the first 15 minutes this season, which leads the league by a fair margin. And once they have that goal, it just seems to settle the nerves, and all of a sudden their attacking unit has that space. York, who are already tired, now have to chase this game, and Cavalry's got all the time and space in transition to do what they do best. And really, I think, like you said, Tobias Warshevsky going into that number 10 position, it's something that we've kind of wanted to see for a long time, and this is just the second time all year we see him start with Kanija Elva in the lineup as well, them both starting at the same time. And just that freedom he's allowed in the number 10 position, and having Kanija Elva to be that reference point in the box, to be the guy stretching the lines, to be the guy laying it off to Warshevsky. You see on the goals, the way that, Warshevsky's allowed to come into the play a little bit later. It's that much tougher to pick him up when, he's not that first guy leading the line, when he's kind of in that next wave of attack, and he's able to get 2 goals kind of doing exactly that. And then you look throughout the attacking unit, Ali Musi scores the most Ali Musi goal ever, where he cuts in and on his left shot fires a deflected strike from outside the box. Gauthier Antigny forces an own goal where he cuts down the line the way Gauthier Antigny does, and cuts the ball back. This was everything that Cavalry does when they're at their very best in attack. And that Elva Warshevsky pairing is one to really watch. Apparently, Elva obviously playing a lot of his career in Germany. They can speak fluent German to each other, which Elva said is really a problem for the opposition backline, because they have no idea what they're saying when they're talking to each other. So it gives them that one little advantage, one little more advantage that they can have in kind of their communication. And obviously it paid off in this game. And, it's a really exciting storyline heading into the next match. And again, we said that they had the pieces to be able to overcome the loss of Sergio Camargo, even how good Sergio Camargo is, but it was about getting that mix right. And I mean, pretty clearly they did that in this game.
Yeah, I know Cavalry finished 3rd in the regular season, and frankly, we're pretty far off the top 2 points-wise. But guys, we can't forget that this team won the North Star Cup last year. It has one of the most talented squads in the league, has one of the deepest squads in the league as well, mind you. Even when they're dealing with as many injuries as they are at the moment, they're still able to put out a team that dangerous, and to do that to York United. I just love how ruthless they were. I mean, the fact that they come out of halftime, they give up a goal right before the end of the half, kind of a bit of a punch, gives York a little bit of life and some positivity going into the locker room. They come right back out and score immediately. I think that was really good. This Cavalry team, when they're going, they're going. Okay, they had 5 regular season games, and including this one and a CanCham game, 7 games in all competitions this year where they won by 3 or more goals, right? No other team in a CPL had more than 4 in all competitions this year. So when this Cavalry team is dangerous, they are very, very dangerous. AGR, again, we're going to get more specifically into Forge and Cavalry next week, later in this show and in a new segment. But again, how dangerous are Cavalry? And if you're Forge or Atletico Ottawa, how serious a threat are they?
Yeah, well, this front 4 is a legitimate problem, and it's good to know that for Tommy Wilden Jr., because for a while now, the front 4 has been Gauthier Antigny, Ali Musi, Tobias Warshevsky, and Sergio Camargo. It's nice to know that you've got somehow, some way already made Camargo replacement in Warshawski. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I highlighted some of the strikers of the CPL last week, and one of the things I note about Warshawski is that we know this. He takes a lot of touches around the box. I think he led the league in dribbles or something like along those lines. That he's such a dangerous threat from deep. So almost, I'm interested to see now. Like, can you use this Knissia, Alba, Tobias Warshawski thing to your advantage? Because Alba, he's a bit more, he plays a bit more like a traditional 90. At least he runs the channels a bit more, gets in behind, stretches the field. And anytime you can open up field for Tobias Warshawski, that's a good thing. So I'm curious to see that if Camargo is back and available in some capacity, could you use that to advantage? Could you, Tommy Wilden Jr. pulled the double tens? I know he's pulled that out in the past when he's had that sort of, you go for the box in the midfield, you let Musi and Intigne go wide. It's going to maybe take a bit of a tweak at the back with, but he's got the center backs to do it. So I think it's a good sign for Cavalry, because all year they've been at their best when they scored first, and they've looked dangerous offensively, and they've looked at that was about as good as they've been in the last few months. And they only conceded one defensively, which I'm sure Tommy will be happy with.
Absolutely. Mitch, let's get into York quickly here. Obviously, we know how big a night it was for them on Wednesday in Halifax, but how much of a marathon it was to get to the end line there. Have to go all the way across the country from Halifax to Calgary. Meanwhile, the Cavs have been kind of off all week and waiting for that team to come and play them at home. Do you think that York might have just run out of gas a little bit here?
I think so. I mean, they also didn't necessarily help themselves. Like when you concede a goal just 8 minutes into the match, you're always going to be fighting it. And again, like we said, already tired legs, and then you have to chase. It's not an easy thing. And obviously they get that late goal, and it feels in the first half, and it feels like, okay, they might be right back in this. And then heck, they concede like less than 2 minutes into the second half. And really that felt like that's all she wrote at that point for a team that had so many miles on the travel schedule already. So yeah, I think the combination of maybe not managing the moments of the match super well, and obviously already being a little bit fatigued both mentally and physically heading into this match was kind of their undoing in this game. But still an impressive season from York. And I think of, all the teams right now that are sitting on the sidelines, like they're the one that have the clearest identity, the clearest path forward, and will feel the best about what they accomplished this season and heading into next year. There's really a strong foundation here in York.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And AGR, maybe we'll explore that a little bit now here. Obviously, Mauro Eustachio's first full year as head coach of this team. They had a lot of new faces come into the team in the offseason. As Mitch said, they did start to establish a real identity. Heading into the offseason as York United, you're never satisfied if you are out of the playoffs early, but do you think that you'd call this year a reasonable success for the Nine Stripes?
I think you can be reasonably content with what, I think the one complaint they'll have is that they dropped to fifth, because they obviously had a chance to finish fourth or third.
Yeah.
But considering first year young manager, we must add one of the youngest in North American history. I think the youngest active in all of pro sports, which is obviously a cool stat. Then you got a pretty new group. It's never easy to take guys and put them into a new system and a new team. I think the big thing will be just continuity and plugging holes, because I think for the most part, they've got their roster set. They've got an attack that's exciting to watch, versatile, different players to watch. They've got great midfielders. Maybe this offseason you just look at little areas like, okay, can you add just a bit more depth at the back so that if injuries hit, they don't get beat down as much in that regard. And I think this could be a very good team next year. So I think York can hold their head up. And what's nice is that there's avenues to progress. Like there's more to come from them. So it's all about building that momentum and ensuring that this isn't one of those years where you just get in and then maybe you're satisfied with that and then you fall off the next year. And I think the good news is that's not a problem. Like this team is hungry. I mean, Mauro Eustachio said they were starving. I think unfortunately it doesn't matter how starving you are when your legs are shot and you play 120 minutes, but just keep that hunger in the offseason.
Yeah, they will absolutely need it. I think what I liked about York this year is there were a few players who took big steps forward. I think Max Ferrari had one of his best seasons in a while. Kembo Kibato probably had his best professional season. Stefan Yates took a step forward. Obviously, Julian Altobelli is a great story for York. But I did like kind of the individual improvements we saw from a lot of those York players throughout the season. So again, more hope for me heading into the offseason, heading into next year for York.